that. I'm Dr. Harish, consultant psychiatrist in the Department of Psychiatry, and warm welcome to all of you for today's R2R program. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Thomas Kishore, who is going to chair this program, who is professor of clinical psychology and associated with child adolescent psychiatry, has a vast experience in understanding and addressing the issues related to adolescents, children, mental health issues, and who will introduce the resource persons for today's uh, uh, our Road to Recovery program. Just one request to all the participants is that initially during the presentation, if you have any kind of questions, please send your questions through chat so that either myself or my junior colleagues who are coordinating this program will keep that questions as a kind of compile. And once the resource persons complete their presentation, a discussion can happen. Sir, over to you, sir. Sorry for the delay. Please.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now audible, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone, and namaskar. And thanks for that kind introduction, Dr. Harish. And also, thank you for giving me this opportunity to chair this session. I welcome each and every participant on behalf of the NIMHANS team. We have two eminent speakers. One is Miss Jayashri Vaiti from Amog Trust, and also Miss Renu Singh from Enfold. Both of them I know, more so Renu Singh madam. I'll talk about it later. The importance of this topic is that when we talk about persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities as caregivers, including professionals, we talk about various needs, right from cognitive, academic, social, emotional, adaptive behavior. When it comes to sexuality or any kind of adolescent needs, that is when both the caregivers, family members, as well as the professionals could sometimes shy away. Let alone management, even understanding the needs itself sometimes could be little difficult. What are the challenges? What are the difficulties that we encounter? There could be many, but in our experience, both at NIMHANS and in due course of working with various organizations and families, what we understood is that one, that we fail to recognize individuals and their needs, and particularly it happens in the context of intellectual disabilities because they're dependent on someone else depending on the severity to understand their life and also to really navigate through day-to-day challenges. So our understanding is that perhaps they're not very mature enough to understand the so-called typical needs. And the second one is that perhaps they may not even be capable of understanding the general age appropriate developmental needs. Therefore it is safe to ignore sometimes any kind of unwarranted education and training might unnecessarily put the child at risk of exploitation and abuse, and also the stigma. And societally many of us may not be really comfortable in talking about issues related to adolescent and as well as adults. And then we can understand that if you don't find the vocabulary, what would happen to children with the developmental needs. So in this context, it's very important that we have two eminent speakers talking about it. And as professionals particularly, I request that whenever it is possible to go beyond the mental health boundaries, because we can learn a lot from the people who are working in the field, professionals, and also when they are parent professionals, all the more that the rich experiences that they bring and the nuances and different perspectives that they bring would be altogether a different thing. So therefore I invite the first speaker, Madam Jayashri. And how much Madam needs the time, Dr. Harish? Hello.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, Dr. Harish. Yeah.
So what we thought is Dr. Jayashree madam will take around 20 minutes, something like that,
Yeah,
following
yeah.
by a few minutes of questions, and then
Yes.
Renu madam will take 20 more minutes.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Over to the organizers to help
Yeah,
them significantly.
thank you, Dr. Thomas. And this is Jayashree Vaitishwaran from Amok Trust. So we started the trust in the year 2012. And since today I'm traveling, I'm not able to make a presentation like a formal PPT presentation. But I would like to talk about, because we started with working with young adults with in all the disabilities since 2013. So 2013 was the year we started with a basic computer program for adults with intellectual disabilities. And that is how we started bringing the different kinds of disabilities to the program. And once we started, we were able to run the program properly in various ways. But as we grew, and then as we started working with the different categories of disabilities, so also the different sexes, like we have male and female, both the like girls and boys in the center and working with us. So 2013, we started with a computer program, and then that is how our trust started working with this group of adults. And then as we gradually got into, like we try to understand the needs of children from various categories. So the parents need, it made us understand that it is not only computers, that when they are in the adulthood, they need a proper engagement, a rehabilitation, and a livelihood program where they need to be engaged properly and also given a dignity for them. That is the way AMOG has been working with them. So our first program after the computer program, we started working on their art skills, bringing drawing, painting, and other things and all. And over a period, we started making a lot of products. And then that is how we brought the whole center into a full-fledged center, working from morning till evening for more than 6 hours. So now when it comes to a proper formal setup, that is where the issues of the sexuality and whatever now the present topic comes, it we started realizing the intensity and the need of these children. So as we were running the program, now we have a group of girls and a group of boys in the day-to-day environment, though we try to bring a very formal environment. So still, it is a very, very tough situation for us to bring this gender, sensitizing the children on their gender, like, how to conduct themselves when, if they are a boy and if they are a girl, and then how do you address, how do you talk, and how do you conduct yourself. That is a very basic thing. Of course, that over a period, these students have realized and have started working on that. But over a period, the familiarity, we have also created a sheltered workspace where they are earning a livelihood. So now we have children who are working with us for more than, say, from 6 to 10 years. Like quite a few of them, around 25 of these students are earning out of whatever they are doing from home. But with the familiarity and with the environment, and also whatever the care they are getting, they are able to work and deliver very well. But at the same time, as they are growing as an adult,
Sorry, Dr. Kishore, we can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I was requesting the participants to kindly keep the microphones in mute. सभी से मेरा अनुरोध है कि जब प्रेजेंटेशन हो रहा हो कि माइक्रोफोन को म्यूट पे रखें. दिस द बेसिक respect that we can give to the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, like I was saying, as we were getting into a full-fledged program from running the whole program of, working on the computers and other things, we were trying to bring in a very formal environment in spite of their whatever medical condition. And to some extent, the discipline part of it has been, I would say, it's been going very well. But the other side of, as they are growing and their needs and their biological needs are also growing, and some of them, like especially when they are not able to communicate properly, there are non-verbal students, there are female students, there are male students, there are students who can only speak in words, there are students who can communicate well but they are not able to express their feelings. So we have various things sprouting up over a period, and that is where we felt that there is a real need for us to address these issues and also bring parents into it, where the parents, we wanted to understand first that are the parents are aware of this, because most of the parents are, they're really taking care of their basic needs, but still some of them still feel they are a kid. But I think it has to be addressed as an adult when it comes to their biological needs. The needs has to be addressed as an adult, not as their whatever mental age. So that is the thing where I also wanted to understand on this area from doctors like Dr. Harish and Dr. Thomas and others also. Like over a period, they must have been exposed to various cases where they have addressed and they have been able to come out with some sort of dealing with the situation for the parents and also for people like us who are bringing some programs for them, how to enforce and how to bring that awareness in these sort of cases. So now here at this point over a period we got introduced to Enfold, and that is how we got started working with Enfold. And Dr. Saldana, we brought the parents and brought Dr. Saldana to address our parents, to start from basics, what are all the things that the kids, as they grow, adults with different needs, and what is the gender, and then how do you sensitize even for the parents to understand these things and all that. So then over a period, that's how we got the parents to learn certain aspects of this gender, which is very, very important as a parent to communicate to their children. But as I said, for us, certain things, for us, center running, bringing a professional work environment, it was getting little tougher for us. Even now, we do face a lot of, sudden outbursts and sudden issues, which are very, very difficult to deal with it. Of course, we bring the parents also when we do all these things. So at this point, again, when Enfold announced various programs on gender sensitization, this Suvidha kit was one of the thing, which is being developed by Renu Singh, which is a wonderful way of communicating. Of course, the basics, the main target group, I think it started with younger children needs. But now I have been, since Renu also has a teenager daughter and soon to be an adult daughter. And so that is where we felt that all of us should work together and then see how you can still bring the adult age issues also into the Suvidha kit, and probably work more on those areas, and also bring parents and the caregivers also to come out with their whatever issues they are facing it, and with the doctors also to bring out a more effective way of bringing an awareness and a very smooth way of for them to deal with. See, basically the very basic thing of a boy, like a masturbation, how to deal with in an open environment. So especially when when the boy or girl is, the boy is not communicative, how do you deal with it? So at what age you start dealing with these things, for them? So that is these are things I would like to hear from you, sir, Dr. Thomas and Dr. Harish, and of course Renu Singh also, because she's been a parent. So I would like to hear more on these issues. And I think as and when she talks, I think I would like to join at that point to bring out each cases where we have been finding issues and then dealing with it, where one of the areas parent awareness is not there. Then there is children's communication has not been good, and the mental condition is also a very difficult thing for the child to understand. Because of the condition, though we keep saying certain things are prohibited, certain things are not supposed to be done, not able to enforce all those things. So, but still, there are certain skills, they are very good in it, and they are able to work very well, and all that engagement is been going on. But these needs are parallelly, how do we deal with it? Actually, this is a very important thing where I need a lot of inputs from experts like you. So, I would like to stop at this point here, and then want to bring other people, doctors, and Renu, please. I would like to bring in you, and then we can jointly, probably over a period, I will join with you. Over to Renu, please.
Before Reniju takes over, thank you, madam, for setting the tone of, highlighting that despite our training of persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the issues that we see can still come in the context where they will be interacting with beyond family members, like work environment, and not necessarily
Then
everything
social,
is,
like when they go to social functions, so
it could be
gatherings,
work, it could be anything outside the family.
Anywhere outside.
So it is not necessarily that it is a deviant behavior. What I'm learning from you is that the social inadequacies sometimes, and then manner of approaching another person irrespective of the gender, and their interaction sometimes can be very challenging to people in the immediate environment. And what is the solution that all of us together can draw from each other's experience? So let us hear from Renu madam. And I had this privilege of working with all of them at Enfold, and they have brought in a very wonderful kit called Suvidha. I encourage strongly parents, families, professionals to have a look at it and see how best you can make use of this particular kit. Over to you, madam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, and thank you, Jayashree ma'am. So it's my privilege to be here and share the work that we have been doing in collaboration. So I've learned so much from Dr. Thomas and Jayashree ma'am also, because she is regularly working with these individuals on a daily basis. And being a parent and a special educator, I do have my own perceptions and my own learnings, which I try to bring in through my sessions and trainings, and which I have tried to incorporate in the Suvidha kit. So I would like to use the share screen option and present my PPT. Can you please, it's disabled, it says the host has disabled, so if you can enable, I think I'm able to. Let me see in case I'm able to share my screen. So I'll be talking a little bit about the basics of what we teach in personal safety and sexuality for our children, and for how our approach should be. Before that, I'll be taking you through a little about what is exactly personal safety and sexuality education, why we should do it, and a little bit about the myths and facts around sexuality for people with disabilities.
Ma'am, I think you'll be allowed to share the screen once.
Yes, I'm able to now. I'm just trying that. So yeah, I think the screen is visible to you all.
The screen is visible.
Okay, thank you so much. In case any of you have any questions, you may stop me. I can take the questions in between, or you can. So
Renu, just a suggestion. One of someone has asked for Hindi also. Probably in between Hindi में भी आप बात करिए.
All right. मैं कोशिश करूँगी कि हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों मिक्स करके बात करूँ.
Okay.
So I'll do that. In case किसी को हिंदी में explanation चाहिए तो मैं हिंदी में specially कर सकती हूँ. I'll be using more of English because in Karnataka I think there'll be more people understanding English rather than Hindi. So please, you can, in between, you can ask me to translate in Hindi. I will be happy to do that. So when we talk about personal safety and sexuality education, why is it needed? We all know this, that personal safety education is the right of every child, not just a child with special needs or a child with disabilities or child without disabilities. Every child has this right, and it should be a part of their life, this education, not as a separate or exclusive education, but it should be a part of every child's life skills education. Why? So that they can learn and they can be empowered to prevent, to identify, to prevent, or to report any kind of abuse in case it is happening. And also for our children who are adolescents to navigate adolescence with dignity. We want our children to have a life of safety and dignity, but to provide them a dignified life, they need to learn socially acceptable behavior so that they can be included in the society wholeheartedly. No one would like to include a child or an individual who has inappropriate sexual behaviors in the community. So we need to empower our children, teach our children socially appropriate rules around managing their own sexuality and behaving with others. There are a lot of myths and facts about sexuality and disability. Some myths could be like people with disabilities are asexual, they do not have the desire or needs to have sex or sexual feelings. And it could be they are like childlike, they do not possess the maturity or to learn complex things like sexuality and manage their sexuality, and they are not teachable. Or it could be that people with disabilities are sexually impulsive. They cannot control their sexual urges. It could also be that people with disabilities, they will not get married or they will not have sexual partners later on in life. So they need not sexuality education. We think that sexuality education is just sex, which is not so. But all these are just myths. These are myths. There is no truth in them. People with disabilities, they can be educated just like their peers, neurotypical peers. The only difference would be the way in which we approach, the way in which we teach them. And we have to teach them in a way that they learn. Every individual would learn in a different way. So we have to first understand their strengths and their interests, and accordingly we can adapt and we can modify our teaching and teach them in a way that they learn. Talking about the risk of sexual abuse, these are some of the facts that a Government of India study they did that way long back in 2007, and in that it was reported that more than 53% of the children have faced some kind of sexual abuse. And for people with disabilities, studies have shown that the risk of sexual abuse is 4 to 10 times higher. And especially people with intellectual disabilities, they are very, very high at risk. And the risk of abuse increases with the disability, with the degree of disability. So the more intense the need, the higher the degree of disability, the higher is the risk. And the alarming fact that came out in all of the studies, and even in the National Crime Records Bureau last year, the number of POXO cases. So in that, over 99% of the cases, over 99% of the cases, the abuser or the perpetrator of the abuse was a known person. Generally, it is more than 90% of the time, it is a person who is known, regularly encountered, who is familiar to the individual, to the child, or to the family. So how do we keep our children or individuals safe from the risk of sexual abuse? Is only through empowering them, through educating them to be able to understand, identify, and recognize that they are being abused. That is the first step. And then to resist if they can, to say no, go away from that place, and then report it. Reporting is very, very much important. It's essential so that the abuser can be made accountable and answerable, and they can be caught so that they don't continue abusing other kids as well. So these are a few of the reasons why perpetrators or abusers find our children with any kind of disabilities easy to to target them for any kind of sexual abuse. The first and foremost reason is personal and sexual safety literacy. Our children, our individuals don't know what is right, what is wrong, what is safe, what is unsafe. So we have not provided them the education. It's not their fault. So they don't understand. They have not been made to understand. Then it could be unique aspects of disability. It could be that the child is not able to understand. It might be the child is not able to communicate. It could be anything, depending on the kind of their disability. And our people, our children are very, very affectionate, and and because of that, being affectionate and trusting, they could make these targets to abusers. Our people also lack socializing and very little social. Our people are isolated, and our families lack the opportunities for social interactions. So usually we have a very small circle, and in which we move around. We don't take our individuals or our children in public places, in festivals, or in the community to attend parties or functions because of a lot of behaviors that they may have, thinking that our people would be ridiculed or others will not like being around them. So our children grow up with the need to look for affection. And because of which they may be very much attached to the abuser, they may get attached to the abuser, and they may be at risk to any kind of abuse. Also many of our children and individuals are dependent on others for their personal care, for their intimate care. Like it could be bathing, it could be dressing up, or it could be washing after using the toilet. So for all these intimate care needs, in case our individuals are not independent, others will be helping them out, and in that process they can take the opportunity to abuse our individuals. So that is the first step that we need to do, is skill our children to make them independent in their self-care, so that we can reduce the chances of abusers. And then our people know are all our children. They have learned to passively obey their elders, passively obey their adults, or passively obey their parents or educators. So whatever the other person tells you, whatever your elder tells them, they have to obey. So this makes them easy targets, because if the person says that no, touch me in this way, or they're trying to abuse our individual, our child, they will think that it is okay because the other person is a trusted person and I'm supposed to obey my elders. So we have to rethink about this. We teach our children that no, obey all your elders. So, and respect all your elders. What we need to teach them is respect your elders, respect other people for their behavior, for their wisdom, not just for their age or they are in a person in authority. So, yeah, so these are a few of the reasons. There could be many others, but a few of these were there, which we could analyze and we could record in our need analysis researches that we have done. So, yeah, so why we parents and we educators, why do we feel challenged? So all these, I think, even Dr. Jayashree ma'am mentioned, and we all know that we neglect personal safety and sexuality education in the beginning of the intervention or during the early intervention stages when the child is younger, thinking that no, we have so much time. We can deal with personal safety and sexuality once the child is older, and we are more focused on academics, on so many other skills. So we work on those skills, but we ignore or keep postponing the sexuality education because somehow we ourselves are not comfortable about it. So we ourselves feel ill-equipped. We don't have enough information. We don't have the tools and resources or the teaching materials which most of our children require to learn. Since we feel that we don't have, we feel ill-equipped. So, and we have a lot of discomfort around it. There's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot of silence because of the stigma and taboo that we have grown up with. We adults ourselves have been conditioned to remain silent, to not talk about sexuality or not discuss sexuality in a way that we ask questions, we can seek information. So because of all this, we have developed that discomfort. And then professional guidance is very little available, very rarely available. So we keep postponing it. We keep postponing the sexuality education. And the only time we start looking for answers when the problem becomes larger. When the child has grown into puberty, they are in the adolescent stage, and they have started showing signs or symptoms of inappropriate social behaviors, sexual behaviors, like masturbation in public or touching others' private parts. So when they start showing these behaviors, then we start looking for answers and trying to access guidance or information around it. So we have lost so many years where we could have taken the opportunity to teach the children at a younger age. And by the age that they reach adolescence, they would have got trained in all those things, and we would not have, to struggle with these things. So this is, I think it's a fact with all of us. Being a parent myself, I know even I have done it, not just with my daughter with autism, even with my neurotypical son also. I was not aware. Sexuality was
So,
never.
Renu,
Yeah.
here I like to add a situation like what we are facing.
Okay.
A simple thing, like probably as they grow in childhood or in their even in early teens, a shaking hand or saying a high five is a very good thing. Like when you meet someone,
Yes.
but now a stage has come when they are in the adulthood, shaking hand for how long? So
Yes.
that becomes a big issue that starts as their urge for the sexual need actually. So that we are facing issues on that. So so in our center we have stopped shaking hands. Like we told them, please, you can do say hi like this, no shaking hands, because they don't know, like between girl and boy they hold, then they continue to hold hands, and then it starts with that actually. So, and of course, we have been managing to monitor all these things, but it's very difficult, like even a thing like shaking hands. When the teacher says no, there's a confusion on the children also. Like why should we not shake hands? So then, as a rule, we said, okay, no shake hands. All of you may say hi like this. That's all. So, but how long you keep changing the rules like this? Like when you're okay for our center, it's fine. We are a very small center. We are and our working hours, we are able to enforce certain rules. But when you go to public, when you go to various other situations, how do you deal with this? Like where there may be a situation, someone will come and hold hands and say hi, say hello, shake hands. So how do you deal? So how long you will shake hands? How long you will hold hands? So we have to tell them. So as a rule in our center, one of the teacher will hold hand like this, and they will all say high five, and then say, if you want to do high five or do with only this ma'am. That's what is our rule actually.
Yes, I
But
completely.
so that is how we are resolving our situation, but it's also going endless nowadays actually. Some of the situations are so very specific, it's very difficult to deal with that. So another thing here, like you said, as they grow, as a parent, like a boy gets his own room, so the parent doesn't know what the child does in his room, what is happening in the room. And a situation like masturbation has to be taught to the child. Will the parent should know that the masturbation should not happen even in the room. It has to go, like if the feeling is there, how do you deal with it? So where there is a gap between the parent also,
Madam
the child.
Jayashree ma'am, sorry to interrupt. I think we may get some answers from Renuji's presentation.
Yes.
Yeah?
That's what I'm raising this, sir.
Yeah. So I think maybe we can hear Renuji.
Yes, please, Renu,
Since I
continue.
worked with her, they have addressed. I'm aware that they have necessary inputs for all these issues. Let us listen.
Yes, so what all points you raised, ma'am, all these we have tried to cover them during our trainings, and in the materials also, the materials that we provide. We're talking about personal safety rules and boundaries, personal boundaries. Again, we can have certain rules in our center, but the same rules will not apply for the individuals everywhere. And it is not right to stop them from interacting with the other sex or the opposite sex, or to say that getting attracted to someone and trying to interact with them is wrong. It is not wrong, but we need to teach them those personal boundaries, those rules. So that is where we can focus. So I'll just cover, it is covered in mine, in case, I'm not able, it is not covered, so please do remind me later once I stop it. But I'll keep in mind to take up these points as well. So we were just talking about these things, and so because of all this, we deny our children, we neglect the personal safety and sexuality education, but we cannot do with that, because once they are adults, once they are grown up, there'll be a lot of issues, and there'll be more exclusion in case we do not provide them the right kind of social behaviors which is required to go along with their maturity. So these are a few of the common behaviors that we see in individuals, in youngsters, in the children and adolescents, as well as young adults with ID, ASD, or it could be other disabilities as well. So the most common is exposing own private parts by undressing, pulling down, or lifting up clothing. It could be while they are going to the toilet, coming out of the toilet, or some children even have this habit of lifting their shirts whenever they are happy. They lift their shirts and they will do that. So it is a very common behavior. The child will try to remove their pants in the living room and run to the bathroom. So in that period, they'll be naked. Or in the school or any other place, they come out of the bathroom after having used it without their pants or underwear up. So this is a very common behavior, exposing their private parts and then pulling down or grabbing others' clothes also. It could be just out of fun. It could be out of curiosity, or it could be out of any maybe it could be attraction also. The child is getting attracted to a teacher's. They could be getting sexually aroused by looking at a teacher or her breasts, and they may try to touch it. They may try to touch their mother's breast. So in case the child is if the behavior is being normalized at home, put a 12-year-old touching their mother's breast and mother is not saying anything, she's not intervening, she's not educating about the nose and not to do. The child or the adolescent might do the same in the school also. We've had a number of cases where students they grab their teacher's breasts, or they try to look when there is somebody inside the bathroom. So not maintaining these boundaries. So it could be that. Fixing or adjusting underclothing in public. This is a private behavior, but our individuals may not understand, so they may do that in public. Self-stimulation or masturbation in public. It could be a young child doing that, or it could be even an adolescent doing that. So with young children, we usually ignore it, but for adolescents, it becomes very difficult to ignore adolescent masturbating in the class, or in any open space, or in a public place. It could be that. Hugging or kissing a stranger, that is very common. Touching others inappropriately, that is common. Scratching or touching the genitals, or saying something inappropriate. So these are common behaviors. Also, it could be being overly familiar, because they don't understand the personal boundaries of talking. What to talk, what not to talk about with people whom I don't know, who are strangers. So all these talking rules, touching rules, clothing rules, our children, they don't understand. That is why they don't follow these. These could be the common behaviors, but again, when they are older, there could be more complex or more intricate behaviors that need to be intervened. So when we talk about providing comprehensive sexuality education, the potential areas for information includes human growth, development of the body changes and puberty. We need to teach our children all these. We need to teach our individuals about personal safety rules, about sexual abuse, what is okay, what is not okay, about masturbation, managing masturbation, where it is okay, where it is not okay. And then about sexual orientation and gender diversity also. That also need to be taught to some children in case it is required. When we talk about development of sexuality, I talked about this, that it is a normal part of growth and development of every individual, be it an individual with special needs, with any kind of disability, or it is a non-disabled person. Sexuality is a normal part of the growth. But our individuals with disabilities have some exclusive needs or intense needs, depending on their own the kind of disability that they have. But our individuals, they have similar needs and feelings and needs for intimacy as neurotypicals. They have a need. The adolescents, they have this sexual attraction towards others, and they want that intimacy. There is a need for intimacy. That is why Yashi ma'am said that they want to hold the other person's hand, and so we have to tell them not to hold that hand. There is a need for sexual intimacy also, or intimacy, just intimacy, being intimate with the other person, being close to the other person. It is there. But again, the physical development is the same as atypicals. Here, the difference is in the mental development, in the intellectual development, how the brain develops. There is a gap between the mental development in the mental age and the physical age of the individuals in case they are having some kind of IDs or IDDs. So our responsibility, our duty is to build those skills and give them extra help to build their social skills and maturity to match with their developing sexuality. And whatever education, whatever we are trying to teach, it has to be customized and individualized for every individual, with whether it is a child with autism or it is a child with any other kind of intellectual disability. Sexuality education plan also needs to be individualized. That is why we create these IEPs, so that every child learns in a different way. So the same information can be given in a different way to each child, and we need to take into account their interest also, their strengths as well as their interests. So yes, we can train our individuals. We need to have that will, and we need to have those skills and the resources. So that we feel we ourselves are empowered and we can empower our children. So what should our approach to sexuality education as adult caregivers or teachers and educators be? The first and foremost thing is develop a comfort with the topic of sexuality. So I have been working with the school, and my daughter used to go there earlier. There, the school, when they heard that I'm doing this training, these trainings, so they wanted me to go and train their individuals, their adolescents who were working in their vocational center. And I said, ma'am, I can train your teachers, and I can give you the Suvidha kit, and then your teachers can work with the individuals. Because for the reason, because our children with intellectual disabilities, or it could be our individuals, they find it a little difficult to relate to a person who is unfamiliar. So as a stranger, I cannot just go in a class with children having autism or children having Down syndrome or any other intellectual disability and just teach them something and they will learn it. It's not possible because they need familiarity. They need to know the other person. They need to know the caregiver or the educator. Only then they will be able to learn. So I said, ma'am, it will be better if your teachers and the parents of the children do it with their children, because the children will learn better. They'll relate to them with familiar people. I'm unfamiliar with them, so it will be difficult for them to relate to me. Even for me to relate to them and teach them in a way that they learn, I don't know about them. It will be difficult. So, but the principal said, no, Renu, our teachers are not comfortable. So they feel very hesitant and they're not comfortable with it. So please come and take the sessions. So it is that we need to accept that it is a topic which we don't discuss. We feel very uncomfortable. So firstly, we have to understand that this sexuality or sexual and reproductive health is a part of our development. It's a part of the children's growing up, and everyone. It's a normal thing. It's a normal part of our growth and development. Just like we talk about our eyes and how to take care of our eyes, how to wash our hands before eating, all the other rules like safety rules on the road, the traffic rules, just like any other rule, like we have in the house for eating, bathing, everything, we have rules. We teach the children those rules. So for the same, just like the same, we can teach them personal safety rules and taking care of their sexual and their private parts and understanding how the body is changing in a very normal and matter of fact. Instead of making them feel ashamed, making them feel instead of blaming them or saying chi, thu, or shame, puppy, shame, we have to teach them. We have to teach them in a way that it is empowering, it is compassionate, and it is empathetic. So yeah, so that should be our attitude. That this is a part of our body, this is a part of our development. Just like I teach my child not to poke their eyes or not to poke their nose when they are in public, and after that, after doing that, go and wash their hands. I can teach them to not touch their genitals in public, and they can do it in private. And after that, they can wash their hands. So keeping in mind the safety issues, keeping in mind the hygiene issues, we can teach children everything. But before that, we need to be prepared and be calm and composed and be neutral, and teach them in a matter of fact. So also we need to learn a lot about the educational strategies. Like for example, for children with autism, we need certain strategies because they have certain strengths and certain limitations. They are they have social inhibitions. They do not have good social communication skills or interaction skills. But children with Down syndrome, they are very social. So we need to know the children, know their how the way that they learn, and that according to that we can modify our strategies and methods also. And teach your child. Child is inverted comma because for us parents, whether it is an 8-year-old child or it is a 18-year-old child, it is always he or she is always a child. But our children or students, they need to be treated age appropriately, especially for sexuality education. Now, the difficulty for us will be that in case the child has a mental age of 4 years or 5 years and a physical age of 15 years or 16 years, the person will not understand what we are teaching them according to 14-year or 15-year age. So we need to teach them in a way that a 5-year-old learns, but the rules and boundaries and the teaching has to be age appropriate according to a 14-year-old one. There has to be some balance that we need to create. We need to ourselves make that balance. Yeah, and include personal safety and sexuality education concepts in daily routine, daily life of the child at home as well as in schools, and use all the teachable moments that arise in the daily home and school routine. So, for example, you are sending the child to bathe, or you are helping the child to bathe or wash after using the toilet, or you are helping the child to dress up. All those moments, small moments, you can take that and take that as teachable moments and teach them. See, this is what we need to do. See, whenever we change our clothes, we need to keep our door closed. So I do that every time with my daughter. So in case she had to change her dress, I make her close the door. I'm inside with her because she's still not independent in dressing up. And then I tell her, see, we keep the doors closed now. We should change our dress only in private. Close the door, close the windows, draw the curtain. Now we change. So we do that and take every moment that arises in school as well as at home. In school, there will be limited opportunities, but try to utilize whatever opportunities you get. In case you see that the child is touching their private parts in public, what you can do is you can go to them very calmly. You can ask them to keep their hands on the table or keep their hands by the side and try to distract them. Try to engage them in something which is meaningful so that they don't focus on touching themselves or pleasuring themselves, and they can be engaged with something which is more meaningful. Later on, you can have a session with them, or you can use some materials to teach them that it is not okay to touch yourself when you are around people or when you are in the public places. You can touch your private parts only when you are in the toilet or in the bedroom and the door is closed and there is nobody else inside. So use all these moments. For our children, there's a lot of repetitions that will be required. So they will not learn in just one session, 1 month, 2 months, or 1 year. It may take years for some individuals, depending on their learning grasp or learning ability. But our responsibility is, in case they are not learning, that we can modify our methods. But always be very compassionate, always be very loving and understanding. And in case they are making mistakes, don't make a big scene out of it. Often I hear the teachers, when the schools approach me for doing trainings with their staff, they say, "Ma'am, we are having some very big issues." And just last month there was a big scene which was created in the bathroom, and there was an 8-year-old boy with autism. He was lying on the floor on the bathroom floor, and his hands were inside the pants, and he was masturbating. So instead of making a big scene out of that, it is not a big scene. A child knows it is touching our private parts or touching our genitals is pleasurable. It is a fact. It is pleasurable because the genitals are made for that. They are made because they are very sensitive. They have a lot of nerves, and touching the genitals feels pleasurable. So children do like to touch themselves, but since they don't understand the privacy rules, they will do that in public. So in case they are not following the rules, do not make a big scene out of it. Very gently, very calmly take the child and take them to the toilet or bathroom or help them around that. And you can also use that same moment to teach the other children around the child that it is not okay. No, see, it's okay. He was touching it, but he can go and to the toilet and he can finish susu or and then he can come back. But it is not okay for us to touch our private parts. All right, but it is okay. He was doing that, so don't create a big scene. Don't make it a big issue, or this is not a big problem. Because just like I said, we don't make poking nose or poking the eyes a big issue. So we need not make create a big issue out of touching the genitals. But again, we have to intervene, and we have to intervene in a way that the child is not made to feel guilty or shamed or blamed or reprimanded. No scolding, no punishing the child, no saying dirty boy, dirty girl. If the child is not following some rule, it doesn't make them dirty boy or dirty girl. They will not understand dirty or good boy, bad boy. All these are very abstract terms which children will not understand. So we need to be very mindful of that, how we say it and how we teach. The way we teach, it makes a lot of difference with the child. In case we shame them or we punish them or we scold them, they will shut down. And they will do the same thing, but in our absence, behind our back, they will not learn anything. And they may get no fear, they may get afraid, they will be afraid or shame, they'll feel shame and guilt, which we don't want them to feel. Right? So sorry, how much time have I used up?
Dr. Harish?
How much more time do I have? So that I'll 10 more minutes. Okay, thank you. So coming to what should we teach? What is to be taught? When we talk about personal safety education, in personal safety education, we teach the personal safety rules, and we have categorized them into major 3 categories. The first is the clothing rule, the second is the touching rule, and the third one is the talking or communication rule. And all these rules we follow with others, and others need to follow with us. We follow this with others as well as ourselves, and the others also have to follow this with themselves and with others. It has to be both ways. So what does the clothing rule say? The clothing rule says that we keep private parts of our body covered in front of others, and we remove the clothes covering our private parts of the body only when we are in private and there is nobody around us. In some cases, the helpers or the mothers or the caregivers can be around the child, but we have to tell the child that I'm here, I'm helping you, that is why I'm here. Otherwise, when you remove your clothes, make sure that the door is closed and there is nobody else inside. Door is closed, door is closed, window is closed, and there is nobody inside. So here we need to teach them what is private and what is public also. I'll talk about that more later. Then the second rule is touching rules. Here we say that we don't touch our private parts of the body in front of others. And the others should also not touch their private parts when they are in public or when they are around me. Then the next one is talking of communication rules. We do not talk about private parts or private things with others. We talk about these with safe others, but for health, safety, and clarification or information. Talking is all right, but talking about these should be for health reasons. In case the child is feeling pain in their private parts or something, they have some discomfort, they will talk about it, but not in public. So we talk about these for health reasons in private and with our safe adult. And then for safety and clarification also. We teach our children that the doctors can examine you, they can look at your private parts, they can talk about it, but in the presence of safe others. So when we say that no one should touch you or nobody should see your private parts, there we again have to teach them that there are some people who are allowed to do that for health, safety, and clarification reasons only. A little bit more about this. So personal safety rules for clothing. we don't undress or show our body in a way that makes others feel uncomfortable, sad, confused, or scared. So we have included all these feelings which the child may have, the person may have, or the other person may have. It need not be that the clothing rules or touching rules are only for the private parts of the body. In case the child is not comfortable being touched on the shoulder, on the head, which is not a private part, but they can say that I don't like it. It is unsafe for me. So if they feel uncomfortable, by someone undressing them or others undressing in front of them, they can say it is not okay, it is unsafe. And again, we don't show our chest, genitals, penis, and buttocks in front of others. Here again, we have to name all the private parts. We have to tell them what are the private parts of the body and what are the general parts of the body. So it's the same. So we don't take our clothes from our body or others' body in a way that makes others or me feel uncomfortable. We also tell the children that it is when anybody is undressing or anybody is removing clothes, it could be the bathroom or it could be any room, it is not okay to look at the other person. Because many times children do that out of curiosity. When somebody is using the loo, somebody is using the bathroom, or somebody is undressing, they will look, they will try to look. Because it's a natural curiosity. They want to know. They want to see what the other person is doing, how the other person's body is. It's a very natural curiosity. There is no other intention from the child. It's just curiosity. But we need to teach them that it is not okay to look when the other person is using the bathroom or removing their clothes. Yeah, so these are some of the materials that we have in the Suvidha kit. The top ones that you see, the two boys and two girls, we have these cutouts or puppets that we call them puppets. Now, this is what we have given in the Suvidha kit, but these you can make yourself. You can draw, you can paint, or you can download some pictures from the internet and you can make these cutouts. You can get the cutout laminated and you can use this. Now, all these puppets, they have these clothes which can be removed. So once we remove the clothes, we can use the same material for the boys or the girls to teach them all the parts of the body. What are the private parts? We can name the private parts. We can teach them clothing rules. We can teach them touching rules using these. We can also teach them body changes. So suppose for boy, in the boys kit, we have these two puppets. So this is the young boy and this is the older boy. You can see the body changes. There's a Velcro which is stuck wrong. But through this, we can teach the youngsters that changes in their body, hair growth, hair in the pubic area, height increase, muscle increase. We can teach them. These are the changes that happen in the body. And so it is okay. And these changes happen to all boys and to all girls. Same for girls also. So when we teach them what are the private parts of the body, so all the parts of the body which are covered by underwear and vest or the swimsuit are the private parts of the body. So the private parts will be the chest, abdomen, the genitals and the surrounding areas. At the back there will be the buttocks and the anus. And here we need to teach them the names also. So what we can do is we can teach them the anatomical names or the factual names. Meaning, in English, you can teach them penis, scrotum, buttocks, and anus. For girls, you can teach them vulva, vagina, and buttocks and anus. In case you feel that it is very complicated and the child is not understanding, you can use simple words like susu place and potty place. That is also, it is okay to use that, but it is always better to use the actual and the anatomical names so that everybody is able to understand in case they are saying something and they also can understand. So we need to give the children, our individuals, a vocabulary about their bodies, about all the parts of the body, so that in case there is anything, in case they are in an unsafe situation, or in case they have some discomfort, they can explain to the others, they can talk to their safe adults and tell them that my penis is hurting or my anus is hurting, or somebody has touched me in my private parts or on my buttocks, somebody hit me on the buttocks. They can use these words and the vocabulary to talk about it. So giving the children a vocabulary vocabulary for all their private parts and the genitals is very, very essential. and for them to know what is private and what are the general body parts. Now, no body part is a public body part. Entire bodies are private property. It's private, but there are other body parts where people can see, which people can see or they can touch. But again, if I don't like to be touched, it is not okay. I can say no, don't touch me on my shoulder or don't touch me on my hand. Many of our children with autism, they have this tactile tactile resistance, or they don't like being touched or hugged. So it's okay for them to say no. For them, any touch will be an unsafe touch. But we need to teach them that it is always okay to say no if you don't like being touched, or it is always okay to say no if it is against the rules. Against the rules means all the personal safety rules for clothing, touching, and talking. So apart from this, so here we teach them the clothing rules. So keep all the private parts of our body clothed, covered with clothes when you are in a public place or when you are with others. What is a public place? What is a private place? This also we need to teach them. So a private place is a place where nobody can see me. I'm alone, and there is nobody can see me. That is a private place. A private place can be a toilet or a bedroom with the door, window closed, curtains drawn, and nobody else should be there in the room. Then it is going to be a private place. A public place is where there are people and they can see me. So this is how we need to teach the children about private parts of the body and clothing rules and touching rules. And then at the bottom we have this material which is the puzzle, which you can, again, you can create these materials using your own pictures or using pictures from the internet, so that you have some activities where the children can do the activities and you can teach them the names of the body parts and the rules also. So now again, these materials can be used with young children or with adolescents or even with adults also. So because the same rules apply to both children as well as adults. And these are some of the materials where we talk about this private and public, safe clothing and unsafe clothing. So some activities, and then these are the flashcards which we can use. These are some of the materials which are there in the Suvidha kit. So personal safety rules for touching, I have already talked about. So we teach our children, instead of using the words good touch and bad touch, we recommend that all the parents and teachers use the words like safe touch and unsafe touch, which are unambiguous, which are clearer, because good touch and bad touch, these are ambiguous terms and their meaning changes with the situation and with the person. So you can say safe touch, unsafe touch, or you can say okay touch, not okay touch. You can also say right and wrong. But good and bad, we usually say that no, it can be by these words. And hugs, kisses, personal likes and dislikes and permissions matter. So it is not okay for any person to just hug and kiss a child if the child does not like, or even when you hug and kiss a child, you can ask. Permissions matter. So we teach the children that others should follow and even they should follow with others. So there's the same rules will apply for the young adults that ma'am was saying. So hugs, kisses, personal likes and dislikes matter, but at some instances, we don't hug or we don't kiss people who are not known to us. People who are known to us, we can ask them if we can hug them, we can kiss them, but otherwise we recommend that the parents themselves, they should not be hugging or kissing the children as they are growing up. So if a child is like 7 or 8 years, after that, please do not hug or kiss your child and or ask them or make them sit on your lap, because especially for children with IDs or autism, they take a longer time to learn something. And in case the parents are following these behaviors, they're hugging and kissing the individuals, the children, and they are making them sit on their laps. And later on, after 2 years, 10 years, we say, no, it is not okay. Don't do that with the others. It will be very difficult for the child to unlearn all those things which they have been doing for a long time. So please start teaching them the personal boundaries. It is okay if you love someone, if you like someone, you can give them a high five, or you can smile, or you can say something to them instead of hugging or kissing. So talking rules, I think I've talked about this. what to teach. Naming body parts, I've already talked about this. So we need to give them a vocabulary so that they can report, or they can communicate, and they can understand also. Teach independent self-care. There's physical changes in the body which come with puberty. All the changes in the body, especially hair growth and hair growth and the size of the genitals, and then erections and masturbation and menstruation for girls. All these we need to deal with all these, and we need to teach the children that how to manage this and what to do when they are in a situation in case they have an erection, what to do in case the girls have periods in a public place, what to do and whom to seek help from. So we need to teach all these things. Concept of private and public spaces. What are private and public spaces? We can teach them. What is private behavior? What are the things that we do in private only? Like using the toilet, dressing up, touching my private parts, or it could be farting, it could be cleaning my nose also is a private behavior. So all these could be private behaviors and public behaviors. So to teach all this, we can use a lot of flashcards. So that for private and public places, we have given a lot of cards in the kit, which have the pictures of various rooms in the house, various places in the public, and then we teach the children that this is a public place, this is a private place. We teach them to sort them. We need to label them, and so that they understand what is a public and private. We start with using pictures which they are familiar with. So what you can do is you can take pictures of different rooms in your house, and then you can laminate them, and then you can teach them that this is your bedroom, this is a private place. This is your bathroom, and the door and window is closed, this is a private place. But the drawing room, the living room, the kitchen, other areas in the house or outside, they are public places. Once they are familiar with, once they have understood the places in their house, you can teach them the same places in the school. What are the private areas and what are the public areas? And then you can use other pictures to generalize the concept that they have learned. And then the concept of know, go, and tell. So once we have taught them that this is safe, this is unsafe, this is okay and not okay, we need to tell them that, teach them through role plays. We can do role plays, we can do demonstrations to teach them that in case somebody is touching them in their private parts, somebody is pulling their private, grabbing up, pulling close, covering their private parts, what to do? First of all, say no, shout, you can say no, stop, and then you can go away from that place and then tell a safe adult. What is a safe adult? A safe adult is a person who follows all the personal safety rules with themselves and the child can trust them. So we can identify safe adults at home and in school, because all adults are not safe adults. There might be some people in the family itself. Sometimes there are parents who are the abusers. There could be teachers who are the abusers. So that to identify who is a safe adult, we can teach the child. Any person you are comfortable with, and the person follows all safety rules with themselves, that is a safe adult. That also can be taught. So and
Renuji, how much more time you may need?
I think all I've done everything. Yeah, this what not to do. I think I've talked about this. The point that I have not talked about is, as far as possible, avoid directly touching the children in their private parts. Even when you are helping them during bathing or during washing after using the toilet, try to make them do it on their own, hold their hands and help them to move on their body. Don't try not to touch them directly so that there is no skin to skin touch. In case the helpers are helping the children out, they can use gloves. Otherwise, try to guide the child's hand, hold the child's hand and help them to clean their bodies. And when the child is saying something and the child is explaining something, if you are feeling, in case they ask a lot of questions where you are not comfortable with, explain calmly, and then you can try and always go back to them. These were a few of the materials that are there in the kit, I think. So we have a lot of social stories in the kit where we talk about personal safety rules and boundaries. So when so for the individuals, in case, and we also have a book which is on romantic feelings. So what do I do when I am attracted to another person? It could be a person who is a peer who is of my same age, or it could be an elderly person who is a lot more older than me. So how to manage those feelings, those romantic feelings? So personal boundaries also we talk about what is okay, what is not okay. Um, yeah, I think that's all. And in case of masturbation, I think I'll end with this. So masturbation is a very common behavior with boys. Girls also do that, but not very common. But some girls also do that in public. It is known. We have had some cases where girls also have done it. So what we need to understand that it is a private behavior. It is okay. It is normal, and it is normal behavior. It is a natural behavior. Every person, adult or child, does it. But what we need to keep in mind is the privacy aspect and the safety aspect. Privacy, safety, as well as hygiene aspect. Social rules apply. So what we need to do is we need to give a private time, a me time for the child for sex self-exploration. And that could be a time which is at the end of the day, before when they are going to sleep. We can give them a separate bedroom if possible. If it is not possible, in our own bedroom, we can create a separate space for them, a private space for them, where there is a partition between them and us, so that they can touch themselves if they want. Otherwise, it is a private time for them. They can do whatever they want. And if they are masturbating, it is fine, because they are not hurting anybody. They are doing it in a safe way. They are going to maintain hygiene. So it is okay if they masturbate, but only in their private time, in their me space, following the safety and hygiene rules. So we can teach them through pictures that this is how it is done, or sometimes the parent or the father or the brother or any male educator, they can teach them to masturbate also. Sometimes there is a need to teach the child, or to teach the adolescent to masturbate. Then they can do it physically. They can avoid directly touching the individual, and they can hold their hand and teach them. Or we can use some toys, sex toys also, to teach them how to masturbate. That can be done. Do not blame or shame or punish in case the child or adolescent is masturbating in public. Just try to distract the child and engage them in something which is interesting. Give a lot of physical exercises to the child, and a lot of physical activities you can give the child to maintain their hormonal levels, so that the need to masturbate, it is not there much. And um, try to regulate or try to manage their online screen time, or try to supervise what they are watching on the internet, so that they don't get access to any porn sites or porn videos. In case they have visited any porn video or seen something which you feel is inappropriate, then again we need to talk about that. So yeah, so I think, and for girls, menstruation, again, for girls, menstruation also, we need to teach them. It can be taught through demonstration, through a lot of pictures, through social stories. We can do that. So I think I'll stop I've taken a lot of time, so I'll stop share, and I open the platform for questions, if any. And Jayashree ma'am, so
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
So here the core thing what I've been hearing and also wanted to comment here is that now that all the more it is, I think along with the ADL, whatever you're talking of, like independent living skills, I think these has to be added along with the early intervention, whatever learning.
Absolutely. As early as possible. All these personal safety and sexuality education has to start with early intervention.
Early intervention. Yeah, that is the
absolutely.
I think the curriculum, whatever, the IEPs, like you rightly said, when they start right at the tender age, when they come for intervention and assessment and all that, and when they start with their education, right from there, I think the independent living skill has to be started along with the, educating them, showing them. Like you said, good touch or bad touch may not be very right, appropriate word. Very clearly, you have to say that it is safe or unsafe. I think all those things are very, very important.
And especially about, so with very young children, even when they are 1.5 or 2 year olds, we teach them the names of body parts. At the same time, we can teach them the names of their genitals also. So it is okay. So we can normalize. But again, at the same time, we can tell them that it is not okay to to talk about these in public, because these are the
Also,
rules.
see,
Teach them the rules also at the very early age. We need to start that.
Yeah. So why I'm saying is, like, as I said, as we are facing all these issues in our center, we also took a consultation for more than a year with behavior therapist. Because, you know, as they grow, like you said, the communication or the way they want to express their needs and their awareness and all that. So at some point, it affects their behavior. So
Definitely
in
it
that,
reflects in their behavior. Yes, it
so
does.
at one point, so we thought instead of, you know, educating them how to do it, like parallelly, we were educating them on the sensitizing and then appropriately behaving, all that. But we also wanted to consult, and then the behavior therapist also, it was very tough for them to deal with it actually. Of course, we tried our best to come out with interventions and then, you know, how to deal with it for individual cases. But also parallelly required is like it has to start much earlier than as they are now actually. Much earlier, along with their whatever special education happening, parallel along with that, I think all these over to Dr. Harish and Dr. Thomas Kishore. Yeah.
So just one point, ma'am, that you had raised in the beginning about their social interaction with the opposite sex. In case they are heterosexuals, so getting sexually attracted, or the feeling of intimacy, or just being attracted to the other person is a not normal and natural during adolescence. It's for all of us. We so-called neurotypical, we can manage manage our behavior because we know the rules and boundaries. For our individuals, we cannot keep them away from these interactions. We have to teach them to interact with others in a safe way, following the personal boundaries. Because sometimes many of our individuals, they might be able to form relationships, and we may need to support them in having relationships with the opposite sex also. So we can maybe do demonstrations or do role plays, and use social stories where we can explain them that is, if you are shaking hands with the other person, count in your mind to 1, 2, 3, and then remove your hand.
Yeah.
So that's something. These things we need to do that. We cannot keep them away from social interactions because that is the need.
Yes, absolutely.
Dr. Harish, would you like to take a couple of questions to the speakers?
Yes, some chat questions have come.
Renuji, maybe you can directly reply to. There are some questions related to how to access Suvidha Kit. Maybe while we take the questions, perhaps you may like to reply to them.
Yeah, you can
And,
type it.
We can take a couple of questions, beginning with. There are something. Yes, Dr. Harish, over to you.
Yes, sir. I think I don't know. Maybe already we have spent a lot of time. I think one of the participants mentioned that they were having challenges in understanding the English. I think Renu Singh madam said that she would try to mix up Hindi, but somehow I think she lost.
I missed that.
It's okay. So I think we will take some questions like one question from Miss Ananya. Would you be able to unmute and ask, Madam Ananya?
Yes, sure.
Please.
So it was a great presentation and I really learned a lot through this. I wanted to ask that, is it really possible to make these children independent for their own personal hygiene if they have
a severe degree of disability?
Yeah.
Right. Sir Thomas, sir, would you want to respond to that, sir? And even Renu madam also can add on.
Yeah, since it's their time, maybe I request both the speakers to say.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, the general rule of thumb, irrespective of the severity of disability, each individual is capable of personal care. To what extent, what degree one can achieve is something, it depends on host of the things. But as overarching principles, we need to make attempt to make them independent.
Yes, sir. I fully agree with you. I think, madam, it's always like the early intervention. One of the program is to start with the ADL activities, where right from basic personal hygiene, toilet habits, eating habits, and bathing habits, all those things are taught. Or children who struggles and all that, there are ways to address that, and specific areas they work and then bring out with schedules to achieve certain things. I think it is doable, like it is achievable.
Yeah, so working on the ADLs, especially for their self-care, we have included a lot of materials in the Suvidha kit. Like for example, now this can be made, there are a lot of sequences, ADL sequences, which are available on the internet. So you can directly download them. They are free downloads, and you can download them and make a sequence. So yeah, this is a sequence of washing hands. Many of our children with ASD, they just wash their fingertips and just run away. They do not wash their hands properly. So here we make a sequence where every step is captured in pictures and in a small text. We have toileting cards for using the toilet. So every step we do the task analysis first, and then make pictures, and then make them in a sequence, and we train the children to arrange them in a sequence, or we put up these sequences in the toilet on the top of the wash basin so that the children follow all the steps. In case they forget, they can always refer to the step and they can follow to the sequence, and they can follow. For dressing up again, we have these sequences. For bathing, we have sequences. Again, like Sir said, again it depends on the individual functioning level. Some children can learn easily. They don't need a lot of repetitions, but some might need a lot of repetitions and maybe some adaptations, modifications. Again, it is we have to make an individualized plan for every child. Every child has a capacity to learn, and as caregivers, it's
through
our
task analysis we
responsibility.
can teach. Thank you for bringing that. And it is not the question of whether to teach or not, how much we can teach. For
It's our
example, after 10
responsibility.
steps, if a person is
Absolutely.
capable of doing 2, another person is capable of doing 5, let there be independence. This is how we can go ahead.
Work towards independence. So we start with providing them physical support, and slowly reduce the support, slowly reduce the prompts, so that they become independent. So there's a way in which we work with these children, but it can be done, definitely can be done. And even if it takes a long time, we need to keep teaching them and modifying our approach. Any other question?
Dr. Harish, would you like to sum up? There are 3 questions related to, I think, persons with mental illness, if I understand it correctly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think, though today's topic, I think we thought that we will only discuss about the concerns about the family caregivers and the issues related to sexuality in persons with developmental disorders and intellectual disability. I think a couple of participants are asking questions related to persons with mental illness. But to some extent, I will not go into the details. One thing I think maybe just we can look into that. There is a question by Mr. Guru Prasad that one person with mental illness may say that he wants to marry for a sexual need, but marriage may not be possible. Then what is the solution? On their own, socializing is a difficult choice. So, Renu madam, you want to, it's not whether just person with mental illness, it is also for persons with developmental disorders. Sometimes entering into relationships or a formal marriage may be a significant challenge. Yet they do want to have kind of socialization and some kind of relationships. So if they want, or they express that, or if the family caregivers notice that as a kind of issue, how would you suggest or advise?
Yeah, sir. So when we talk about marriage, because many of our individuals, when they are grown ups, they want to marry. I have come across some who want to marry, but they don't have the capacity to it's commitment. It's a lot of responsibility to take up that responsibility of the other person, to earn for themselves and for the other person maybe, and also to meet the emotional needs of the other person. Marriage is not just no physical relationship. It is so much of emotional and psychological well-being of both individuals, where they need to share so much, communicate easily, and be together, work together, be together. So again, it depends on the individuals. Some individuals, along with some kind of support from their caregivers, they can enter into a relationship. Just like we had a case where there were 2 Down syndrome individuals, a girl, girl and a boy, and their parents were there to support them. And so, but we need, before they enter into a marriage, we need to teach them about intimacy. We need to teach them about sex, how it can be done, how to do it safely. And again, but in it again, some people can do that. Some families can provide that kind of support. But marriage for sex, I think it won't last for long. It is, I think.
And the other thing also, sex without marriage also is not legal in India. So that, see, because I have attended workshops of, you may also know Keystone and other people when they conduct, questions, such topics have also come, like, how about the paid sex? So, but all those things are not legal
in India. It's not legal. Abroad, we do have sex therapists who provide these services to individuals with IDDs. But again, we have to consider whether they can be independent, they can earn all that.
A very dark area where nothing is clear on that, and then I think
very gray area.
Yeah.
And again, individual on the individual capacity with the individual family, it is no, it will vary.
Yeah.
Dr. Harish, next question, please.
There's a question in the chat about masturbation for girls. So I think I did not speak about masturbation for girls. Can I answer that, sir?
Yes, madam.
So masturbation is something which is common for boys as well as girls. Both men, women, boys, and girls masturbate. It's normal and natural for everyone. And we can teach girls masturbation. In our Shraddha kit, we have an entire sequence, the masturbation for teaching boys and for teaching girls. We do have that. And we talk about it in a normal and natural way. But we need to teach them that it is not how to do it in a safe way, when to stop, and how to maintain safety, privacy, and hygiene. These are the points that need to be taught to both boys as well as girls. There's no discrimination here.
Thank you, madam, for pointing it out. What I'm understanding is that situations and problems may differ from individual to individual, but we need to understand health, safety, and well-being and social context. These are the 4 issues that are very relevant for us. Yes. And there is one interesting question. It says, how can a single mom teach an adolescent boy with ID?
Oh yes. So this is a very interesting thing, and I'm really very happy to share this, that I have got invited to do a session at the Goa Purple Fest, and there we'll be screening a short film which has a story of a single mother teaching her boy to masturbate. So again, it is possible. There are times we recommend that a male person, a father, or it could be a brother, or it could be a male therapist who can teach their boy to masturbate. But there are certain cases, a friend of mine had to teach her boy about this, and she was able to do that with the social story, because the boy, he could read and he could understand. He had good cognition. But again, mothers might have in certain cases. So maintain that physical distance, or maintain a boundary between the boy and yourself, in case you have to teach them physically, either hold their hands and help them to do that. But while doing it, tell them, talk about it, that this is a private behavior. I'm helping you out. I'm making you learn, but this you can do it on your own. Give them the book, give them the social stories. You can use the sequence cards, which are there where we have done the task analysis, and every step we have recorded that in the form of pictures. They can look at it, and it can be done. Now, another way of doing it was using sex toys. But in case sex toys are not available, a simple way could be using any object like a brinjal. Take the long brinjal, and you can put a socks over it and help the child to do the motions, to rub themselves, how to do it. You can use that brinjal and the socks to show them how the masturbation can be done. So it is possible. Sometimes in these situations with single mothers, it is to be done. But again, state the rules. State the rules. I'm your mom. I'm just. It is not okay for anybody else to touch you. This is where we need to make sure that the child is not getting abused by somebody else also. So
Yeah, if I understood this question, it's not like we need to set out to teach, masturbation or sexual activity or something. It depending on rather the first thing that perhaps the parents need to know, irrespective of the gender incompatibility, the comfort number one to address certain things and the ability to recognize what is developmental appropriate and inappropriate to, and the third one is that their ability to handle it in a way that it does not antagonize the social environment and also it is unsafe for them. Once we recognize that, and it's not necessary that every parent should be very comfortable in talking about certain things, we also need to recognize that one. That is where
absolutely.
professionals, safe adults would include, professionals, or maybe, it is an older sibling sometimes, and in case, right, several combination of people we can identify and then we can bring it. And I pick up the points from what Renu madam has said, that no shame and the comfort is very important, and the third one is that the right kind of knowledge, you just deal with facts as facts and then leave it, because we also believe that no matter what the disability severity, each person will have certain cognitive capacity to decipher, to understand and plan in such a way so we can leave it. And so it doesn't matter whether it's single mom or single father. It is mostly our sensitivity and our openness, and at the same time, how do we maintain the safety and dignity of the individual in that whole process? That has to be the overarching principle over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other questions that have come up?
Yes, ma'am. We have a few questions from some members of our team.
Yeah.
So I will just read them out.
Yes,
So
yes.
different persons with IDD would require to be taught in different ways. So is one-on-one sessions suggested, or is group training more preferable?
Mm, yeah. See, this very talk itself is an example. After presentation also we are interacting. Some people would have got it just by the presentation. Some are seeking clarification. Some are asking again and again. So similarly, the way we are differing in our capacity to follow and understand, similar to the children with ID also will have their own capacity. So according to their level of understanding, it is one session, multiple sessions, and also it's an ongoing thing. For example, certain behaviors may not happen, or it is difficult to create a situation. So that's what Madam Renu has said. Certain things, when they happen incidentally also, we need to teach them. Please remember, when we talk about teaching, teaching is not about the masturbation or the physical intimacy. Teaching about the safety, health, well-being, and also to acquire the right attitude and the behaviors that go with the chosen gender and the sex, basically. Okay, so what does that mean? For example, if a person wants to, I want to get back to Jayashri madam, and she said, I don't know, I open it up for further debate and not sort of, I didn't feel very comfortable to know that just because somebody was having a problem behavior, we would stop completely shaking hands or greeting each other by
So,
physical
I-
touch, and we can have something called generic and specific. This is coming repeatedly. We establish certain general rules. For example, well, just for a second, let us keep persons with intellectual disabilities aside. Even in our general environment, do we go and touch and greet and everybody by shaking hands? We don't do that. Very close friend with whom we are comfortable, with whom we know that they don't mind, then maybe in a, that is the boundaries that we'll have. So how do we teach these generic rules? And a given individual, for example, again depending on their disability, comorbid conditions, age, and prior experiences, many things, some children could differ in their behavior, and there, I encourage strongly the behavioral analysis. So simple behavior therapy would not help, because if we set out as behavior therapy to suppress the behavior, oh, there is something wrong going on, I need to control it. Behavior therapy is to understand why a particular behavior is occurring in a context. One, what are the factors that are contributing to? Two, 3, what is the function it is serving? Because we also come across children with ID, they expose themselves or touch others people inappropriately, not for sexual gratification, just to annoy others. Many parents will come and tell us that when he wants to really put me off, he will do something like give a
Yes,
peck on my
attention
cheek or
also.
something.
Attention.
So we need to
Attention.
understand the function of it. Not necessarily every behavior is sexually inappropriate
Right,
or sexual gratification.
right.
It may be a way of managing their emotions, they're communicating something. So this is where function analysis or behavior analysis is very important. Unless we understand, the behavior therapy is going to fail. And this is where my appeal to the professionals, parents is that choose the right agencies, choose the right well-trained people to approach for appropriate guidance. Otherwise, we'll be making more mess than we could handle it later.
Very true, sir. Very true. So, a small example I would like to just share here. I have a friend who has a 21-year-old youngster. So to train him, regarding these social interactions, there is a friend, a male friend with whom the boy has these dates, and then they interact and they talk together. She's a single parent, and that the person, this last week she told me that they had a date today, and my friend taught him to shake hands. So teaching them through role plays or through actual interactions with people who can support us, or who can be there, and who's there to help us, who are there to help us. They understand our children's limitations, and they can help us to through all this. So we can teach them so much. Again, we need to find ways to do that. So the same mother, she used to use, not use, she used to request her friends, other friends who had daughters, teenage daughters. So they used to take the boy and the girl together along with the parents, and they used to have these meals together where they used to sit together and talk. So to sit together and to interact with the other person in a way that it is following all the boundaries. So we can give them all these opportunities for interacting with the other sex, because that is their need, and this is how they will learn, through interactions, and interactions where we are partly controlling it through the other person also. So if we can do a lot of these things, but again, that willingness and understanding and empathy or understanding has to be there, that it is a need. It's not that it is something which has to be suppressed. That is very rightly said there, sir. So if we suppress, definitely.
Yeah. So that is not the aim of the behavior therapy. Then, Dr. Harish, would you like to respond to this question by Mr. Gangadhar Parida?
Can we have consultation with your organization to address specific issues we are facing? So I'm not sure if he is asking an enhanced consultation, or if he is asking training and support from Enfold in terms of Suvidha. So NIMHANS, I think you can walk in any kind of working day. Psychiatric Rehabilitation Services runs its OPD on Wednesdays. So we will be available on Wednesdays, and walk-in is sufficient with the OPD registration. We can help further. But if it is any kind of training program from the Enfold, I think Ms. Renu will share the details in terms of how that can be planned. You can have a discussion with them for a future thing.
So Harish sir, so we have been talking that we can do some sessions for the parents or for the individuals, along with Amog and in collaboration with you. So we can conduct and organize the trainings, and we can take up these questions in that training as well. So all the people who are interested, maybe they can enroll, or they can register with you, give their names. So we are looking at doing the trainings for parents and caregivers as well as educators at NIMHANS.
Yes.
So
yes,
definitely, and we do that privately. At Enfold, we do a lot of sessions for parents and that. So we can definitely do that. But it will be good if we do that, along with NIMHANS doctor, or along with the NIMHANS team.
NIMHANS can help us, bring the caregivers and parents
Together, yes.
together, and then
Yeah.
probably we can plan out working.
Thank you for your trust in NIMHANS, ma'am. But as Dr. Harish has said, yes, he explained our OPD times and everything. But going by the rich experience that Enfold and Amog, I think you should lead the way. I encourage Gangadhar sir to contact the nearest NGO besides and Nimhans. Nimhans, yes, you are welcome. Enfold, Amog, all like-minded NGOs wherever professionals are available. It's always good to approach them, to decentralize. We strongly believe in that. Yeah, knowledge exists everywhere. One more thing, my colleague Dr. Kavita Jangam, who is an additional professor from psychiatric social work, she is going to organize a series of lectures, in a place called Niman Center for Wellbeing. There it is located in near BTM layout. More details you can get it on our website. This is exclusively for the caregivers. There in series of lectures. One of the lectures is going to be on adolescence related issues and sexuality and the life skills. Perhaps that also can be made use of. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Harish. Otherwise, I really enjoyed sitting here, because every time I listen to people who are actually working in the field, you might agree with me that for us, intellectual and developmental disability is one small component of the large mental health component that we deal with that. And to have a very comprehensive and nuanced approach is not really possible always, because we don't on day-to-day basis see that kind of challenges. And it's always vicariously when an NGO or a parent and family approach us. So every time I listen to colleagues from non-government organizations, especially Enfold and all, MOG, needless to say, Spastic Society of Karnataka, the list can go on. And it's always very enriching how they are identifying the issues, bringing the solutions, partnering with other people, and spreading that information. Every time there is something new to learn, thanks to both the speakers on behalf of all of us, ma'am. And over to you, Dr. Harish.
Yes, sir. First, I just wanted to thank Jayashree madam that she is in travel. In spite of that, I think she was able to pull out some time to join this. And also, I want to thank Dr. Thomas Kishore, who is in vacation and he's elsewhere, and found some time to join and share this session. And Renu Singh madam, I think this is the second time that we have invited. It's again something learning for me again, that as Dr. Thomas said, that most of the times in the OPD times that what we see is that more deviant behaviors rather than subtle behaviors, which sometimes may also have some kind of underlying mental health issues, not necessarily always, sometimes disinhibitions as part of something else or some other things that we would see. And then we would realize that what we are seeing as a kind of tip, actually there might be a long journey before that it has reached that place. And as Dr. Thomas said, that like-minded NGOs are actually working in that the pathway which actually reaches the tip, which is essential. So there, I think partnering institutes or organizations like us and with you can also help in a long way to empower the people with having challenges as well as family caregivers. And as we have already discussed, I think we will little more brainstorm among ourselves in terms of creating a small group of family caregivers who can attend this kind of training, where we won't wish to do together. We'll share the information with the participants who have shared the details with us. So whoever would be interested, perhaps we'll create a list and we'll see in terms of online or offline or hybrid, that kind of thing in future. And with respect to today's session, this will be edited and uploaded in the YouTube. Whoever would be interested later also would be can share with others, or they can relook at enter these things. And not before winding up, I just want to thank my junior colleagues Aishwarya and Aparna, who also had put a lot of time in terms of creating flyer, reaching out people, and doing a lot of background work. And before closing, I just wish to convey to all participants that every fourth Friday afternoon, we will have this kind of R2R Road to Recovery programs this month we have chosen this topic, and next month topic will be informed to you all in advance. So if you are interested in joining these sessions, kindly look for further information. Thank you all. Once more, thank you for the resource persons for their time, and Dr. Thomas.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kishore. I always